So I'm just going to give you a little screenshot there of a page on the Canoeing Ireland website. The website's received a lot of updates and improvements in recent months. So it's worth taking some time after the call and over the next few days to familiarize yourself with the site. I know you won't be able to see the detail on that infographic, there's too much in it, but that's an infographic of the Canoeing Ireland award scheme. And you can see there in the bottom corner on the green one there, the Intro Skills Awards. You can actually get a certificate for the skills that you achieve in Sit On Top Kayaking. And it shows you then the opportunities to grow throughout the rest of the sport. So there are many, many recognized and qualified providers around the country. And these can take the form of kind of mobile adventure setups. They will go through a lot of quality training and assessment processes themselves to put them in a position where they can safely train and certify you. And then also we have volunteer canoe clubs right around the country. So if you're unsure about where to find those, get in touch with Sheena in the coming days there. You can email her at support@canoe.ie and she'll help connect you with a provider or a club. If you've no experience on the water, please, if you do nothing else this evening, connect with a provider or a club before you go in the water. Don't just sort of go straight from the shop to the water and say, look, there can't be too much to it. I'm a good swimmer, I'll figure it out. At least take some lessons. I'd also ask you to sort of value practice and refreshing your skills. I'm going to give you another little story here. A friend of mine, Brian Wills here in Cork, and I taught him to paddle many, many years ago. But one thing I admire greatly about Brian is that every time we go sea kayaking, he always practices his Eskimo roll, whether it's summer, autumn, winter, or spring. He'll do 4 or 5 rolls at the end of the session. So Brian's never in a stage where he doubts his roll. And the message that we can take from that is that sometimes practicing rescue or emergency skills can be wet and a little bit unpleasant, but by regularly practicing themselves, we can add to our confidence. So if we do end up in an emergency situation, we know we can draw on those skills when we really need it. So train for rescues, train for emergencies, and that'll bring you the added confidence. So we're going to talk about those kind of emergency situations now in a few moments. I hope you're all doing well there and somebody's feeding you with tea and biscuits. We're making good progress. So we're moving on now to talk about some basic skills here. This is a family that came to our outdoor centre last summer. Beautiful day, and tried out a number of different sort of kayaking opportunities. So you can see there that the launch and land location for that session was really ideal. No other boating traffic around. We had plenty of room to sprawl and just easy on and off the water. So we need to think about our launching and landing skills where we're not falling off the boat and injuring ourselves or getting wet at the start of the day. I really am a big sort of advocate for learning to fall off in shallow and deep water, but more importantly, how to remount and get back into your kayak. And that's one of the big benefits of Sit On Top Kayaking and how it sort of appealed to the masses, is that if you do get into difficulty, it's not like a closed cockpit kayak where you may need quite advanced skills to solo re-enter the kayak, or indeed have to draw on others to get back in. Remounting a Sit On Top kayak with some basic training is actually quite an easy thing to do. So practicing that obviously is important. Developing your forward, stop and reverse paddle strokes are important. And particularly if you're going to be paddling longer distances, by having good technique, you're going to minimize the physical impact on your body and have good efficiency and just make it an all-round more pleasant experience. You can spend as little as 40 or 50 euros on a basic paddle, right up to 300, 400, 500 euros for a high-end carbon paddle. So your local provider or club will give you plenty of advice on what works for you and your budget. Being able to turn your kayak in conditions is important too. So understanding forward and reverse and combined sweep strokes, the stern rudder, and maybe low brace turn strokes. They're kind of the basic ones. And if you develop those quite early, it can make it a very pleasurable experience to turn your boat, no matter how short or how long it might be. And you can start developing some style and technique and finesse on the water as well. And then you're also going to need your draw stroke for going sideways. So we don't have enough time to run a full kayaking course here this evening, but just some images there to stimulate thought about those. So getting in and out of the boat safely, the remount as I advised there. This is a training course that we ran in winter. You can see there, there's no leaves on the tree, and our Go Adventure students you know, did a lot of hard work on being able to get back into the boat themselves. And keeping the paddle leashed as well is hugely important in situations like this. So there's a nice bit of technique for forward and reverse paddling. You can see good posture in the boat and good technique all around. The turning strokes, as I said there, again, it's not really a course on technique and skills tonight, but developing an awareness of what you need to know. That stern rudder on the right-hand side is probably you know, a real bread and butter stroke for steering a sit on top or a sea kayak. So we place a lot of emphasis on getting efficient with that one. There's our draw stroke for moving sideways. It allows us to raft up with our fellow group members or to come in alongside a marina or the slipway at the end of our session for landing. Just a really useful stroke to have.